Hey, let's have a look at some antique screws. And they're right here on the antique Brown and Sharp milling machine. Now, look at these slotted screws here. Now, Brown and Sharp was famous for their automatic screw machines. So it only makes sense that all of the screws on here, with the exception of the bolts, which I'm sure they made too, they're all flathead slotted screws, even little ones, everywhere. On the dividing head, see, here's right there, this stuff's held on with those. On the end bracket, now, those screws, if you lose one, you just can't buy it, and that's something that bugs me. Other things have screws like this, perhaps firearms. Other things have special screws. And if they get lost, Brown and Sharp's out of business, and you're going to have to make one. And if you want it to look like it should, it takes a little bit of effort, and that effort I'm trying to reduce as much as possible. But I like to make screws, and this is the situation that I got going. And I want to mention that the stuff here does not work. You have to make it work. And I've noticed that quite a few people have found these. This is a German-made lever-actuated collar chuck. And this thing was at the plastic mold shop. He probably picked it up used on eBay, or it came on a machine or something, but it did not function correctly. Got shoved in a cabinet. So here it is in brand new condition, but I did some videos on this, and I had to refit this to the machine to make this work, okay? And another thing about old machines, and I've talked about it, is the sweet spots. Now, if you look at this chuck arrangement, look how far it's extended out. Now, you can extend things very far on an Axelson because it's got 4 Temkin bearings in it. And the axial capacity is 27,000 pounds that this you can put actually, no, that's radially. Radially 27,000 pounds, actually 11,000 pounds pressure drilling. On this spindle, it's rated on this machine. Not your lathe, but this lathe. So as a consequence of that, you can get away extending things further from the spindle nose. And you can do that on a Monarch 10EE, and you can do it on the jig board because of the stiff spindles. And this is a stiff spindle. And what that does is, this is an old lathe, and it's got wear on it. And the bad spots on lathes usually, like it's real smooth here. Let me back this off, and it starts getting tight going that way. See, that's not the sweet spot. So I got the tool post kind of kicked over a little bit, so it's in the sweet spot. Okay, so this is on lathes with wear. This is where it's going to be bad. You're cutting along and it's doing fine, and then it climbs up on the least worn area, and that's when stuff goes out of whack for you. So I've played around with this machine, and I know where the sweet spots are, so I have this on the sweet spot. And this extended collet chuck is a lot better then one that would have a sleeve right on the spindle nose right here, because you can see how far into the bad no-go zone I would have to go. You know, the only thing to correct this is a bed grind. And this might be a lathe worth doing it to sometime. But right now, it's a workhorse, and I'm working this horse right here where it's running good. Okay, so we're going with the horse in the direction that it is currently running, and that's right here. So I got some rather specialized tooling, and I got several ways of doing this, at least two. I've got these smaller tool posts, and if I was going to do multiples of screws, which I will do for my locomotive project coming up, I'll put that smaller stuff on. They're going to be smaller screws. And a small rod. I'll work in 3/8 and like 1/2-inch rod with this setup here. And so this is my quick withdraw threading, which means that when I'm coming up to a thread, I can just bring it up, touch the work off, have it here, and I'll feed in here, right? Mostly I usually set it 29 and 1/2 degrees. And I'll tell you the secret of the 1/2 degrees someday. So all I got to do is bring this to the work, and then I'll mark it with a pen like it is here as soon as it touches. And have this on 0. And then when I start cutting, I don't have to touch this any further, the cross feed, which is really a problem with no thread stop. So I'll just be feeding in with this, and then withdrawing with that and not touching that. I'll withdraw this and disengage the half nut down here at the same time, unless the thread has to be like a metric thread or something I'll be cutting in the future on this machine, I'm sure. So anyway, this did not fit, and this tailstock turret did not just fit on there. Every single tool had to be dialed in. And I've got sleeves that are eccentric. I think only a couple of holes lined up on this thing, and the other ones I had to fiddle with. And that's why this thing was in a time machine. This was something that came with, I believe, an Axelson that Will the Blade had, and it just never got used. And the reason it didn't get used because stuff didn't line up. And the reason it's getting used now is because I lined it up. So all this stuff is working in harmony. And I just wanted to point out that even you can get something really fancy made in Germany, it doesn't mean it's going to work worth beans. And I think I've demonstrated this a few times earlier. And this thing runs dead true, and it'll run something 8 inches out dead true too. Okay, so this is the setup. Here's what I got to do. I'll have to back this off. I'm going to do something different with knurling in the future. I don't like those clamp-on knurling things. I just bump knurl stuff so it's so fast. I want to get it done. So anyway, this KDK thing is just so totally different than like the Allura style and stuff. And see, I can use these tools that kick over and keep the carriage in the sweet spot, see? There's an advantage to that offset. Here's the cutoff for the small screws. And here's, I'll do the diameters with this, braze carbide, do the threading with this, and then I got a knurling tool that I can get in there, but I got to back all this stuff off. So I'll take and knurl the rod first and then start making screws. Okay, I thought I would clarify that what I'm doing. And, you know, basically my project now is this entire garage to make it work good, and a room down in the basement for grinding and sun and honing. So that's what I'm up to. And I'm going to take a vacation pretty soon. I've been working very hard. And I want to thank everybody again for the donations, and I hope you can keep them coming, because this old guy could use them, because I'm not doing any work commercially, and I tell you, I got expenses coming up as far as whey oil and stuff that is never ending, and it's never ending in going up in price. I hope that can change sometime. Okay, you guys have a good evening. One more to cut off here. Still got that good tire. Yeah, pretty easy.